Hello, this is Duckfist, and this is my Mega Man 10 single segment speedrun in 23 minutes and 3 seconds in game time, hosted on speeddemosarchive.com. I think the completion time in real time is about 36 minutes. I will let you know that I have since beaten the in-game time record by about 13 seconds and the real time by about 25 seconds, thanks to only using one M-Tank instead of two, and a series of Wily stage optimizations and other things. But getting right into it, I'd say Pumpman's probably the hardest, one of the hardest stages to get down just right in a speedrun. At least when you start with Pumpman, just doing the whole stage buster, there's a lot of challenging aspects to it, and especially the Pumpman fight. You'll notice that I do take the bottom route here opposed to the top. I assert that the bottom route is probably like 1 or 2 seconds faster. It's definitely faster than the top route when you're using the Mega Buster. Actually, having the Rush Jet will speed it up a little bit, but 1 or 2 seconds faster by going the bottom route, because the top route does have some randomness in the way these enemies appear. Notice how I kind of hesitate there on that second to last bubble machine. You can actually keep running and barely miss the bubble right as it comes out. If done just right. I didn't even know you could do that until, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago. Certainly much after this run. But it was a good stage. I'd say it's improvable maybe by like a second or two, probably 2 seconds in realistic terms, at least up to the Pumpman fight. I think the Pumpman fight goes pretty well too, but you notice that if you jump and shoot right off the bat, you can hit Pumpman once before his water shield finishes spawning. And it's definitely necessary to get as close to Pumpman as possible without hitting him, so that you can actually strike him with your Mega Buster without having them blocked by the water shield. But you'll do notice that I still mash the button like crazy, just in case I'm not close enough to him, and I do end up hitting the water shield. And if that occurs, then you can at least take down the water shield and have more easy access to do damage to him. So throughout the entire fight, you know, I'm just mashing the button like crazy. And you really want to have him dead by by the time he starts his very third water shield. You know, he starts one, he jumps once or twice, and he shoots it off. He starts another, he jumps a couple times, shoots it off. And then it's right when he starts the third one, you want to have him killed by the time he jumps again. That's pretty much ideal. And by that point, if it's good, you're at about the 2-minute mark. I probably did that in 1:59. I've never gotten any faster than 1:58, so pretty good so far. And the logical next step is Solar Man, thanks to him being weak against the water shield. You might be wondering why I didn't start with Commando Man first, actually. It's a little bit better to do during in a tool-assisted scenario. If you see the task run, you'll notice the author does go with Commando Man first, because you can take advantage of some invulnerability glitch that Commando Man has. And with the frame precision, you don't lose as much time in the sandstorm sections without Rush Jet. You can rush coil around, and having Commando Man's weapon and going straight to Blade Man helps out significantly in the remaining Robot Master stages. But starting Pump Man and going to Solar Man is not too bad for real time. I mean, suppose you didn't have task optimization but still managed to do the 8 Robot Master starting with Commando Man, it'd probably be 30 seconds faster than a full run done like this. But here we are at the checkpoint. Bird's fight went okay. This long screen here can be kind of tricky. It's just timing these jumps around these lava machines and not getting hit by them. I come a little close to that one right there, but not too bad, actually. Ew, that was pretty bad. Don't want to really get hit by that guy at all. These next couple of vertical screens with the rush coil and the ladder grabs is also pretty hard to get down. It takes a little bit of practice to get that just right. Can't tell you the amount of times that I would miss rush coil or accidentally, you know, rush coil right into the lava. And actually, you don't need to kill that second to last flower guy right there. It's actually a little faster if you jump, if you don't stop running, and then as you jump towards him, he'll shoot his lava beam, and as soon as he does that, you want to turn around in midair, take damage, and the damage that you take will push you onto the platform, and you can just kind of phase right through him with the invulnerability. Solar Man fight went pretty decently there, but I missed him at the very last second and didn't land on the middle. I did not land on the middle platform when the stage ended. Of course, in Mega Man games, if you're going for real time, it's necessary that you kill every boss while being as close to the center of the screen at the end, or as you kill him, as possible, because Mega Man does have to run towards the center, jump up in the air, and get the weapon energy, and so on. So by the time if you finish the boss and you're at the very edge of the screen or something, Mega Man has to run all the way to the center. And in Solar Man stage, or during the Solar Man boss fight, the terrain's all jagged, so Mega Man has to jump around. So that's some serious time wasted. Of course, Chill Man is weak against Solar Blaze, so here we go. I'd say this is one of the most fun stages to speedrun, to be quite honest. It's just a blast. It's not too hard once you get it down. I can do it very consistently. The hardest part are the vertical screens, namely the next 3 screens and the 3 screens following the checkpoint. It's just kind of timing these water shields and passing through these ice blocks is hard to do. I actually do this really well. I probably only do it this well, maybe 25% of the time. There's some subtle timing issues with falling through those ice blocks without stopping. That it would take a lot of time to kind of go into the detail. But here we're at the checkpoint, starting the final ascent through these last few vertical screens, and the next room is probably the hardest one of the hardest techniques in the game, really, is breaking that top ice block with the Solar Blaze, summoning Rush Coil, and then jumping on Rush Coil right through the broken block before the eyeball guys can get to you. It's kind of tough, but if you kind of watch the run repeatedly, you can kind of see how it's done. And this last screen always gave me trouble. I'm serious when I say I've only recently gotten it down. I mean, just those jumper guys, those with the spikes on their feet, they can break the ice blocks if they land on them. And the thing with the jumper guys, is they have some randomness to them. They can either do a short jump or a tall jump. So if you want to go through the screen without stopping, it's really hard when you don't know exactly what those guys are going to do. Of course, the Chill Man fight was a little bit slow, but not too bad. The idea behind the Chill Man fight is, having the Solar Blaze as his weakness, you need to weapon cancel in order to get maximum damage off on him in the shortest amount of time. Now, the Solar Blaze is the only weapon that it passes through walls and it passes through enemies, even as it deals damage. And you can only have one Solar Blaze on the screen at once, so it takes 3 seconds after firing a Solar Blaze for you to shoot another one, because it takes forever for that thing to leave the screen. But when you switch weapons with bullets already on the screen, it erases all the bullets of the previous weapon shot. So what you can do is fire a Solar Blaze, it hits them right away, switch to the next weapon, switch back, and fire another one. And just do that repeatedly. It takes 10 shots of Solar Blaze to kill Chill Man, because he has 28 health, and Solar Blaze does 3 damage a shot. So that's a lot of time wasted if you're not weapon canceling. Alright, going on to Nitro Man. Not a whole lot to say about this stage. It's extremely straightforward. It's a lot of fun to play. I mean, the music's awesome. Of course, this is the music featured in the teaser for the game when it came out. But to be honest, that was actually kind of a hard jump over that shield guy. It's one of the more tricky parts of the stage. I mean, it's not really tricky, just difficult timing. It's not too surprising to slam into that guy and take damage. Here we are at the checkpoint. The majority of the stage is just kind of memorizing the timing of these cars, and as far as timing tricks goes, I'd say it's the very last room of the stage that has the most challenge to it. It's just knowing exactly when to jump and shoot. That water shield's not even necessary, but I use it so I don't have to jump over one of that guy's bullets. And I kind of have a cue to freeze that truck. If you watch the ceiling, there are 3 columns of spikes that pass by, and as soon as the 3rd spike passes by, that's when you gotta freeze the truck. And okay, here's that last room I was talking about. Now it's every 4 of those little spikes sticking out of the ground you want to shoot. So as soon as you enter the screen, and if you're holding right, you'll land on the first 1 tile wide platform, and you shoot as soon as you land on that. And then you want to go 4 of those platforms away before you shoot again, and just keep doing that. Every 4 platforms, shoot. And if you do that, you'll just never get hit by any of the enemies on the screen. It's just one of those, memorize the timing trick and not really worry about what's going on because it works every time kind of thing. The Nitro Man fight went okay. I'm much better nowadays because I actually hit him twice per pass instead of once per pass. I'm much more comfortable now with shooting those chill spikes like that. Of course, Nitro Man is a pretty crappy boss in that it's another victim of randomness. If he starts off the fight by going into motorcycle mode and zooming at you, that's the best way because you can just be dealing damage to him like crazy. But sometimes, half the time actually, he'll start off the fight just by chucking his wheel cutters. And if he does that, you have to run towards him, close the gap, and then you have to hit him perfectly with the chill spikes. Now this is hard. You either have to freeze him and force him to change patterns so he can, go to motorcycle mode and you can start to hit him. Or if you're really good, you can stop at just the right position in front of him so that when you shoot chill spikes, the orb part won't hit him, but as soon as the orb hits the ground and turns into a spike, that will hit him. It's got to be like maybe a 2-pixel variance, so it's extremely hard to do that. So usually, if he starts off by just chucking the wheel cutters, I will, just freeze him and hope he changes patterns. So, okay, we're at Commando Man. There's really not a whole lot to say about this stage. I mean, it's at this point of the run, I'd say, yeah, Nitro Man and Commando Man, the stages are just like kind of a break. There's not a whole lot, nothing too special going on. Just a lot of, a lot of repeated jump timing. Just jumping through those quicksand pits so you don't slow down. There's a little bit of irregular timing in between these two landmines, jumping through there. But that was the last quicksand pit, so that's that. And having rush jet through this screen is just imperative because you can rush jet over the top of the screen and not be slowed down by the sandstorm. Of course, you get rush jet after killing 4 bosses, but in the tool-assisted speedrun, the author starts with Commando Man, so he does not have rush jet. But instead, through that sandstorm screen, he utilizes rush coil a whole bunch of times to kind of jump over the top of the screen and gain, a little bit of speed as much as you can. But I've tried it without an emulator, and it's extremely hard to do. I mean, it's just not even... Don't even consider it. And also the advantage of the tool assisted speedrun is you can abuse the heck out of Commando Man's invulnerability glitch here and just like kill him really fast. I even tried to. You'll notice I did 2 quick taps of damage with the wheel cutter there, and slightly taking advantage of that invulnerability glitch, but it could have gone much better. I mean, it's oddly selective in when you can actually land repeated hits. Essentially, whenever Commando Man jumps, there's a pretty good chance that, like, during the ascent of his jump, he doesn't have an invulnerability period in between doing damage to him, so you can just, mash the button, and it'll just, like, repeatedly do damage. Of course, while you're holding the jump button to get a maximum height jump, it's hard to just, mash that button. Plus, there's the added randomness of the chance that Commando Man doesn't even jump to begin with. You can just like stand on the ground and shoot, and that's kind of annoying. Blade Man stage. This is like my favorite stage to play. It's just a lot of fun. Music's awesome. It's just like chock full of techniques and weapon usages. I mean, up until this point in the game, I haven't really switched to tons of different weapons, in quick succession. But this stage really brings that out. And okay, here we are on the last stretch to the mid-boss. Going pretty well so far. Now, I do the mid-boss a little faster nowadays. I'm pretty sure I missed this last water shield here. Yeah, at that point I want to weapon cancel to water shield again. Weapon cancel to water shield again, and he'll shoot... Okay, the very center of that kind of castle thing will shoot these like green platforms, And on the second green platform, I want to ride that over to the right side of the screen, jump, switch weapons to water shield again, and kill it. But during this run, I think it was the 4th platform ended up spawning, so that was a good maybe 2 seconds lost. Here's the last stretch of Blade Man stage. Definitely a very difficult screen, especially if you don't have rush jet for whatever reason. Of course, the author of the tool-assisted speedrun had to deal with not having rush. I can't exactly remember his techniques of going through it, but it must have sucked. I really don't think my execution of this stage is much different nowadays than it was during this run, but that went pretty well. Now, the Blade Man fight can be kind of tricky because you can actually you can actually hit him twice per commando bomb if your commando bomb hits the wall at just the right spot. okay, those last two commando bombs did hit him twice each, but the first two that I shot only hit him once each. Still, that's really good for that fight for me. Usually I'll only land a double hit maybe like once, and he'll end up charging me from, but when I killed him, he was on the left wall, but I'll usually not do as good, so he'll fly from the left wall towards the middle of the screen, and then that's when I kill him. So the fact that I killed him while he was on the left wall means I did pretty good. So overall, that was a really good stage, minus the kind of blunder on the mid-boss. Okay, 5 stages down on the Strike Man. This is one of my favorite stages for sure. By 5 stages down, I meant 6, but I spent a lot of time attacking the Strike Man stage, and it's like maybe like 2 weeks after the game came out, I had the world record on the Wii version for the time attack. And thanks to the ability to pause the game and not lose time, though, I stopped time attacking just because people started getting some crazy frame precise stuff that I knew wasn't real. But I mean, this is just such a blast of a stage to play. It's awesome. It kind of pisses me off when sometimes, if I like stream this, people will be like, "Oh, Strike Man stage, why is this even in the game? This is so goofy." And no, dude, this is awesome. This stage is so cool. It's just got such great design, great enemies. It's one of the hardest stages in the game, I would say, which is kind of ironic because you'll notice that there's not a, okay, this is the checkpoint. There's not a single instance in the stage with instant kill. There's no pits. There's no spikes. Just damage. There's enemies dealing damage. And this is one of the trickiest parts in the game, is passing this top room without stopping. It's just kind of the most difficult part is not only timing the buster shots on the soccer balls, but you fire a couple of triple blades to take out those two ball machines. And that, I just spent so much time figuring out exactly what the right timing on that was. So that went pretty well. This is a great stage so far. Okay, I kind of missed it, but that previous room after the second mid-boss is also extremely difficult to get down. I used to do it without Solar Blaze, just Rush, or just Mega Buster, and it's possible to do it without stopping, but I figured out a timing on the Solar Blaze that just makes it so much easier. And of course, I got hit on that last screen there. That last room could have been much better, but overall, that was a really good stage. Now, fighting Strike Man has a couple of subtleties to it. Okay, he did a high jump. Half the time he'll do a high jump. The other half the time he maybe jumps, a couple of tiles high. If he does a high jump, it's really easy to kill him really fast, like I did. But if he does a short jump, I'll usually not be able to kill him, and he'll go into his invulnerability mode for like 4 seconds, and there's nothing you can do. Or maybe not 4 seconds, a couple of seconds. And there's nothing you can do but wait until he's done, and you kill him. And, I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do about it other than practicing for him to do the short hop. And you can actually kill him in one pass if he does the short hop. But it's harder to do consistently. I'd say if he does a tall jump, I'd kill him in one pass 90% of the time. But if he does a short jump, probably just like 25% of the time. Still, they went okay. Sheepman stage is awesome, if that wasn't evident by the name Sheepman. But I mean, seriously, the stage is just a lot of fun to play, and the music's just amazing. And I'm pretty sure I do a really good job going through it in this run. And my techniques really haven't improved that a whole lot since then. It's a pretty straightforward stage, and like mid difficulty. Not too hard, but not too easy. The hardest part is probably getting the timing down on mid boss Octobulb, and killing him instantly with a commando bomb. And okay, getting these. Okay, cool. I get that one. Just being able to clip through those disappearing blocks just at the frame to where you pass through them right as they disappear, so you don't have to wait for Mega Man's velocity to increase from acceleration. You save small bits of time. Okay. I do have a new technique on this screen. See how I summon Rush Coil to get up there? It's actually a little better if you do Rush Jet. It's slightly faster. But, of course, you see all these disappearing blocks. Here's something that kind of lets you know how good you've been doing in the stage so far. It's because the arrangements of these disappearing blocks is dependent on the time that you started the stage. So, see how these last two blocks they barely disappeared as, I landed on Rush Coil. I always summon Rush Coil assuming that I don't make it in time to land on those blocks. So if you're like maybe 2 seconds slower the next time you play the game, those 2 blocks might not have been there because, as soon as you start the stage, all disappearing blocks in the stage are, they're moving, they're permuting, So by the time you get to a certain point in time, or a certain place at a certain point in time, you can kind of predict the positions of the blocks. Wow, that was a really good sheepman fight. I don't get that too often. If you can kill him before he does that last jump, that's really good. Usually he'll have jumped in the air and I'll have to fire a couple of diagonal rebound striker shots off the wall to kill him. But kind of like Strikeman, Sheepman has 2 jump related patterns that he can do. Of course, at the very beginning he always jumps right away. So the idea is, you fire off these shots that'll hit him as soon as he jumps, and then when he lands, he can either jump again really quickly or he can fire like this spark and then jump again. And it's actually better if he fires a spark because you can land a couple of more shots on him when he's on the ground. But, so yeah, that went pretty well. And you'll notice I did go to the shop. I did buy a spike guard and an M-tank. I'm a loser. Yeah, I shouldn't. It's really not necessary. Of course, the spike guard's, up to you if you just want to. And I think at this point I was just practicing the game a lot. And, I wanted to actually be able to finish it with a decent time every now and then. So I buy a spike guard just in case, I slam into some spikes. Spoiler, I do in this run. Ugh. But, if I'm going for real time, of course, that's a whole bunch of real time wasted, waiting for the shot menu. Not to mention waiting for the second M-tank, because I used 2 M-tanks, and that's going to the pause screen twice. Waiting for weapon energy to refill twice. Okay, anyways, Wily Stage 1, there was, I didn't mention it, I'm sorry, but there's a kind of subtlety. You really want to get to this boss screen at the same time every time, so you don't want to stop on that very first screen. By not stopping, you can ensure that you get to the boss door at the same time every time, and if you do, Elecman will always appear first. Because of that, you can fire a Thunderwall as soon as the fight begins, and the Thunderwall, the cloud will kind of rest up against where Elecman spawns, and he'll hit it as soon as he pops out, doing 1 damage. And if you do that, it'll only take 2 wheel cutters to kill him right off of that. If you don't use if you don't use the Thunderwall right away, you have to hit him 3 times, because after the first 2 wheel cutters, he only has 1 HP left, so that early Thunderwall takes him out. And, okay, I will mention that my weapon usages throughout the stage are pretty liberal. I don't conserve weapons as I do nowadays to accommodate for only having 1 M-tank. The reason why I kind of switched from the 2 M-tank to the 1, it's really not necessary to get the second M-tank if you're going for in-game time. There's really not any time wasted, debatably. Maybe an arrangement of just like frames or something, but you can conserve weapons and not really lose time. In this run, like I said, I'm pretty liberal with my usage of especially Triple Blade and Solo Blaze, And if you only have 1 M-tank, those are critical weapons to have, especially Solo Blaze. You need to have Solo Blaze. There's just so many things weak against it. It's really powerful, it's versatile, but you only have 16 shots from full energy. So, I guess it's what Napalm Man during that Weapon Archive 2 fight is weak against it, as well as Wily Machine Phase 1 is weak against it, and then the Chill Man during the Chill Man refight is weak against it. Okay, during that disappearing block portion, if you jump through those blocks, as I had kind of mentioned earlier, if you do it pretty perfectly, you can actually leave the screen before that zooming shield guy comes by to hit you. If you actually just stand on the blocks and just let Mega Man fall as they disappear, you cannot pass that guy. It's not fast enough to pass that guy. So that is one example in the game that'll illustrate, ledge jumping is what I call it, as improving your time in a speedrun slightly. Simply by jumping as soon as you're about to clear an edge, so that as soon as the edge comes up, you're at maximum fall velocity, and you don't have to wait for Mega Man to start from 0Y velocity and build up thanks to acceleration. He'll already have like a velocity of 5 or something. So Wily Stage 1 went pretty well. You really want to shoot for maybe 3 minutes from the start of the stage to the end. I'd say that's 3 minutes. My best is probably I think it's like 2:56. I think the record's like 2:54, something like that. Of course, as far as records go, who the hell knows, because if you watch Time Attack replays, they can easily be rigged with tons of pausing, that you don't see during the replay. And on to the notorious Wily 2, known to be one of the hardest stages around, both just during casual play and a speed run. I have no shame in saying that I died probably 20 times in this stage before finally beating it, but as far as speedrunning goes, it's what makes it especially tricky is we have another timing issue here. Kind of, I went on that rant about the disappearing blocks. Now there's something similar to that here. Instead of blocks that you jump on, there's these like big pistons that come down from the ceiling and smash. And they have, just like the blocks, they have there's like four permutations of pistons. So if you get to the piston part at a certain point in time, every time you'll always know the order that they fall in. Notice how this one came down and I had to actually wait. Same thing with this one. If I had gone through that fight a little bit faster, actually on the very first room, if I had jumped from the conveyor belt onto this platform faster, I would be able to pass underneath all of those pistons just fine. Ooh, we missed that commando bomb shot, and as soon as I fired it, I knew I wasn't going to hit him, so I started jumping up there just to do extra damage. Ooh, here I was using my first M-Tank like a fool, but yeah, the timing on that commando bomb shot against Octobulb, that mini-boss there, how I knew it was wrong is that I didn't time it quite right. I just want to mention this is like the hardest room in the stage. I didn't time it quite right. It was at the very center of the screen when I changed its directions to make it go straight up. If it's at the very center, the explosion from the commando bomb will only hit the boss 3 times. Now you want to hit him 4 times. If it's a little bit off center, it will hit him 4 times and he dies instantly. Now here's another stomper section that you'll notice I did have to stop on that the second stomper off of that very first set. I'd have to stop as it came down. If I was a little bit faster, e.g., if I didn't screw up that Octobulb fight, I could have passed underneath it and saved like 5 seconds or something. So that was some significant time lost in this stage. Not to mention, I don't get a good pattern during the crab fight. Now this is the first of many like a critical, just luck-based things. The crab he brought his pincers up to shield him, and for like 5 seconds, it's like 5 seconds lost. And he only does that like half the time, so ideally he just doesn't do that and you can kill him instantly. But it's just one of those things in the game that's just completely random chance, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, I mean, like the best speedrun that I can do is going to involve like 4 boss fights all going perfectly thanks to random chance. So, he did one bad phase, and coupled with the 2 stomper instances where I did have to stop, Wily Stage 2 went about 15 seconds slower than it could have been. So, on to Wily Stage 3. There's not a whole lot of interesting stuff occurring here as far as speedrunning techniques go. I'd say for the stage's length, it's the least dense as far as techniques go. Mostly due to these idled elevator sections where you have nothing to do but to jam out and shoot to the music, of course. And even in between the elevator sections, they're just small rooms with very little going on. That was very cool. It took me forever to figure out how to pass that guy without stopping, thanks to Private Eye, whose run showed me that really cool technique of starting with Triple Blade and switching to Water Shield. Here's a case where, up to this point, you need almost full rush jet in order to pass this part. I just can't imagine doing a buster only for this game and having to sit there and push those funny little carts all across the room. Now you can actually save a little bit of time there right after that met. I did stop to kind of get a perfected jump over that spike pit. You actually don't need to stop if done right. Alright. Now this third elevator section, I'm just like totally embarrassed about what's going to happen coming up next, but okay, this is easily the worst thing happening in this run other than going to the shop. This is like just embarrassing. So the idea is this very last set of spikes on the right, you want to summon a rush coil and then jump off of the rush coil off of the spikes and up against the wall with wheel cutter, but I got hit. And I mean, luckily I went and bought that spike guard, or else that would have been an instant death. So, yeah, nothing to see here. Nothing happened. There's no Wily Stage 3. It goes straight from 2 to 4. But other than that, stage went pretty good, but that's not saying a whole lot since it's extremely straightforward and there's very little technique usage. Here we have the classic Mega Man wall boss slash, what the hell, devil, yellow devil. This is the block devil incarnation of it. And first half of the fight just involves dodging all these things. And the boss appears out of the middle center of the screen, and I know exactly when he's going to come out. So I prematurely fire these rebound strikers so that they bounce around the screen to accumulate damage. Of course, for rebound strikers, every time they bounce, it increases the damage they do when they finally hit the enemy. So I fire at it. I watch for I think a visual cue of those blocks flying around to fire those 2 rebound strikers so that they bounce like maybe 4 times, and as soon as the boss appears, they hit him. And because they bounce so much, he's at like half health as soon as he appears. So that went pretty well. Not too hard to do. Once you understand the cue, or what cue you look for, it's really easy to do. That's an explanation in general for a lot of the things that I do in this game. I mean, it might look really impressive, but there's a lot of instances where it's just knowing a timing cue, like an audio or a video cue, like a visual cue to look for, or just when to press a button. You're not really reacting to something on the screen. You just know when you're supposed to do something. So, memorization. Of course, I'm going to use my second M-Tank during this long section here. Ooh, no, I use a W-Tank as well. Holy crap, this is bad. Yeah, you get a W-Tank, what is it, in Chillman stage, right after the checkpoint? Yeah. So I use 2 M-Tanks and 1 W-Tank during this outdated run. Yeah, the W-Tank was necessary because I was out of... Well, I do this boss order improperly. Actually, I could have chosen a different order such that I only had to use the M-Tank and not the W-Tank. It's actually better to start with Nitro Man first and then going to Chill Man and then using your M-Tank. Because Nitro Man, you use Chill Spike, and Chill Man, you use Solar Blaze. And you need Chill Spike against Wily Capsule in the next stage, and you need Solar Blaze during Wily Machine 1 coming up after these bosses. So, because I had to use my W-Tank before fighting Chillman, I'll probably use my M-Tank either right after this fight or sometime before Wily Machine 1. But there's Nitro Man screwing with me again. He didn't start off by, zipping around the screen with his motorcycle. He starts off sometimes just by chucking wheel cutters. And the only thing you can do is either go up to him and freeze him, forcing him to change patterns, or you can stand in like a pixel-perfect position, shooting Chill Spike so that the orb part doesn't hit him, but the spike part lands on the ground, the hitbox for the spike increases and actually does damage to him without freezing him. Of course, it's extremely hard to, charge at him and stop at this exact point and do it just right. It's a pretty good Strike Man fight. 1 pass kill, both during this and during his stage, so that was pretty cool. Now, Pump Man, not only in Buster form is he a pain in the ass, but also with his weakness, both because he sucks and because the Thunderwool sucks. But did a little bit of abuse of the Thunderwool's kind of a glitch associated with that. Whenever a boss is underneath a Thunderwool lightning bolt, it only does damage on the first frame that the bolt hits him. But since the bolt is there for like maybe 2 or 3 seconds, you can actually hit him with other Thunderwolves at point blank, and they'll do the full damage of the lightning bolt from the Thunderwool. It'll refresh the vulnerability time, I guess, or the of the initial Thunderwool shot. But anyways, that was a pretty good Wily 4. In fact, I think in my most recent best run, this Wily 4 is still a little bit better. Of course, Wily Machine 1 weak against Solar Blaze, so we're compelled to do some weapon switching here. Weapon switching while jumping over missiles, which isn't a whole lot of fun. And this is one portion where I refuse to pause during this section of the game. It might seem... it is pretty difficult to switch the weapons really quickly in midair, but, most people will rush coil, pause, switch to water shield, hit them. Land, rush coil, pause, water shield. That's like three times pausing, and I just can't stand pausing the game. Weapon switching is what makes this game so awesome, so that you don't have to constantly go into the menu. So, water shield is 4 L button presses away from rush coil. So, summon rush coil, and as soon as you hit it, mash L 4 times, shoot water shield. You can get 2 ticks of damage off on Wily with 1 water shield. So you got to do that 3 times. So that's a lot of L and R mashing and just precise timing. And I might as well stop here. The game is just like over. I mean, I'm kind of upset that they did this in Mega Man 10. What was cool about 9 is, it was just really difficult. You had to fight 3 Wily bosses in a row, and then that was the end of the game. In this, it was just the 2 Wily bosses after the 8 Robot Master refights, and then they bring you to another stage, a stage that's empty. There's nothing in this stage. It's like impossible to get hit. And then you only fight 1 Wily after this. So if you die and continue, you get to start at a stage that you take no damage on, and then just fight 1 boss, and that's it. So there's like no challenge. And this is one of those bosses that's, it's worse than the crab fight. It's worse than Nitro Man. It's worse than Pump Man. I mean, he's just got, like a 50% chance of either staying on the screen so you can just keep doing damage to him, or he'll just disappear and you can't do anything for like 10 seconds. And he can do it up to 2 times, and there's nothing you can do about it. He didn't disappear right off the bat here. I actually have the opportunity to do some damage, although I did screw up and did do damage. Oh, he does give it to me. Oh, crap. Okay, this run sucks. I apologize. So I could have actually killed him in 1 pass without slowing down right there pretty well. Of course, I messed up on that very first cycle and didn't do enough damage to him, so he did disappear. Lost a few seconds and wound up with a very anticlimactic finale. But still, the run went pretty good. I'm still pretty proud of it. I mean, at this point, there's not a whole lot to improve upon. Like I said, I've since improved this run by 13 seconds in game time. That was maybe 3 months later. Playing pretty regularly. I mean, not a whole lot, but this is the only game that I've really been speedrunning. So it's really approaching the upper limit of this game here. I'm confident that, at least on top of this run, it's improvable by like 30 seconds. Thus, on my most recent run, probably improvable by like 15 to 20 seconds, at most, using the route and techniques that I have, and just simply optimizing fights and execution. So, yeah, went pretty well, and I want to say thank you very much for watching, and make sure to participate in Speed Demos Archive and their forums. Check it out, and just check out some other runs. Really great people there, really great site. Check out the charity marathons, hosted a couple of times a year. Awesome Games Done Quick, coming up in January. And, yeah, thanks again. This is Duckfist, and have a great day. Take care.